Ohayou gozaimasu. Krista-san desu. Or Krista desu. I don't know why I keep adding san. Uh, it's like a weird thing. You don't say, when you're introducing yourself, you don't say san because it's like, oh, I respect myself kind of thing. And it's kind of seen as weird. But, anyways, this is lesson 10. So I just did lesson 9. And now we're doing lesson 10, and we'll be going over the vocab. So any verbs, adjectives, or nouns that are in the lesson 10 lesson, whatever. And we'll go over the kanji and then the concepts. So let's get started. Okay. Okay. So in the Rikai textbook, orange one, on page 94, so that's Q14 page. If you look right here on the side of the page, that's where the verbs are going to, verbs? No, just some nouns for this chapter. So first one is tsuyaku, which means interpreter. Tsuyaku. B is kyomi, which means interest. It's like, oh, I'm interested in this. You'd say, oh, kyomi, whatever, whatever. You would add it into the sentence, however you want to add it into the sentence, if where it fits in the sentence. So you're like, kyomi wa blank desu. So this is my interest. Shu, uh, shucho is business trip. Honyaku is a translator. And ryugaku is to study abroad. Like when you go study abroad, you would say that. And then looking at some of the words that are not necessarily listed as vocab words, but they're like used, so it's good to know them. Let's look at number 1 on the same page, the little circle one. So square one, circle one. It says, watashi wa gaido to blank no shigoto o shimasu. So gaido is guide, so like a tour guide kind of. And then number 2 says, watashi wa nihongo no shousetsu o blank shimasu. So shousetsu is novel. And number 3, it says are wa. So are is that. Mai toshi. So mai toshi is every year. And then it says chugoku, so which is China, ni blank shimasu. Okay, and then 4, it says tomodachi wa nihon no bunka ni blank ga arimasu. So tomodachi is friend, nihon, Japan. Bunka means culture. And then arimasu means to like to have, or like it's kind of like an action. It can be used in multiple different contexts. Okay, and then 5 says ototo wa, so your little brother. Rainen, which is next year. Amerika, which is America. No daigaku ni blank shimasu. So daigaku is university. Okay, going on to square 2, number 1, at the same page. Nihon no Amerika no web saito o mimasu. So saito is like a website. And then the second one says Indo no dansu. So Indonesian dance. And then 3 says Kankoku no drama. So it's a Korean drama, or I think it's more likely known as K-dramas. And then 4 says Spain no uta o blank. So that's a Spanish song. So a song from Spain. Uta is song. And the action to sing is uta-u. Okay, and then 5, we already know that. That means foreign language, gaikokugo. 6 says Brazil hito no tomodachi to Portuguese Portugalu go de blank. So your friend tomodachi is a Brazil jin. Sorry, not hito. Brazil jin. So they're Brazilian. They speak Portuguese. Sorry, it's hard for me to speak today for some reason. And then right below that, there's like A, B, C, D, E, F. We'll go through those really quick. So mimas is to see. Naraimasu means to learn. Hanashimasu means to speak or talk. Kikimasu means to hear. Shimasu means to do. And utaimasu means to sing. So utau is the dictionary form of utaimasu. Moving on to page 95. Let's look at the kanji right here in the middle of the page. Okay, so bunka once again means culture. Ongaku means music. Ryoko, sorry, not ryoko, ryoko, because ryoko with a little tsu is different. Ryoko is trip. Ryugaku is study abroad. Tomodachi, friend. Tanoshi, the adjective for fun. Shu, week. And then kai is like a counter, but for like the number of times you do something. Okay, double checking to see if there's any words that are in that little section below that are not there. I have some things written down that I don't know if they're in this chapter, but I wrote them down. So kyo, so kyo o shi, so it's the ki, little yo, u, shi, that means teacher, and zashi, so that's sab with the little ten, little tsu, shi, that means magazine, zashi. Okay, and then I have some phrases that were from the Marugoto website that I wrote down. I'll show them right here. You should be able to see them all. Maybe, hopefully it's a little bit blurry, but pause the video and write these down as I go. Okay, it says tetsudate kudasai, which means please help me. Shitsumon ga arimasu means I have a question. Kaite kudasai, please write. Mo ichido ite kudasai means please say it again, like please say it one more time. Oshiete kudasai, please tell me. Kashite kudasai means to please lend me. And then wakarimasen means I don't understand. Okay, so take as much time as you need to write all that down. I know it's kind of a lot. And then come back to this and we'll move on to the next section. So we're going to look at page 96, still in the Rikai textbook. There's going to be some words up here that I'm going to tell you about that are not anywhere else in here that I have seen. Did we go over Honnyaku? I believe we did. Yeah, so Honnyaku is like translator or translation. In the first line it says, Riri-san, shourai, donna shigoto o shitai desu ka? So they're asking, oh, Lily-san, what do you want to do for work in the future? And so, shourai, so the second word right there, means future. Okay, I think there's only a word in there that's not in there. The 1, 2, 3, 4 lines down, it says, Suyaku ni wa naritaku nai desu. So naritaku nai desu means you don't want to do something, you don't want to be something. Okay, and then moving on to the first concept right here in the middle of the page on page 96. It says verb tai desu or verb takunai desu. So you want to do something is tai desu, or sometimes it's written as ta i n desu. Sensei just said that's just like a thing to make the sentence flow better. And verb takunai desu is you don't want to do something. So you can combine it with noun ni naritai desu, noun ni naritakunai desu, na adjective ni naritakunai desu, na adjective ni naritai desu or naritakunai desu, sorry. E adjective ku naritai desu, or the adjective ku, naritakunai desu. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a verb. For verbs, trying to see if there's an example really quick. Yeah, it just has to do with whatever you're talking about before it. So it's kind of dependent on the sentence, what particle you're going to use before the verb, because there's no verb in between the naritai or naritakunai desu. You're just saying verb, you're saying verb, tai desu, verb, takunai desu. And then the verb or the nouns, e adjectives and not adjectives use naritakunai or naritai desu. So looking below the circle, the white circled one, and then right below that, the number one, the verb right there is hatarakimasu, which is to work. You're going to turn that into the tai form. So that's hataraki tai desu. Okay, and then number two, it's the verb is yomimasu. You're going to turn that into yomi tai desu. And then three is narimasu. And you're going to turn that into nari tai desu. Okay, and then four is ryugaku shimasu. So if you remember, that means to study abroad, but to turn that into a verb, you add shimasu, so to do. So that's going to be ryugaku shitai desu. So those are all positive forms of it. If you said you didn't want to do any of those, you would just, instead of tai desu, you would say takunai desu. And then for the nouns, adjectives, and adjectives, it's naritakunai desu or naritatai desu. Okay. I believe that was the first concept, wasn't it? Yes. So we're going to look at the grammar note. Yes. So this is the same thing that we were just talking about, used when talking about your hopes or your wants, wishes. So verb, tai desu, want to, takunai desu, don't want to, noun ni, na adjective ni, adjective ku, naritai desu, want to become, naritakunai desu, do not want to become. So examples, いつか北海道に行きたいです. So sometimes you might hear someone say 行きたいんです with an N right here in between I and de. It just makes the sentence flow better. So you want to go to Japan someday. So itsuka is like when. So like it kind of translates to like, oh, someday. Okay. Oh, this one, number two, it says cosplay. So cosplay. O mitai desu. You want to see a cosplay. Demo shitaku nai desu. You don't want to do it though. So you want to see it, but you don't want to do it yourself. Okay. Shorai. I, isha. Yeah. Isha. I almost said ja. Isha ni naritai desu. So isha means doctor. So shorai means future. And then naritai desu means you want to become something. Okay. And then a little note. Verb can be made by taking out mas from verb mas, as in ikimasu turns into iki. So ikitai desu or ikitai desu. Okay, and then tai is conjugated in the same way as e adjective. Okay. So then let's move on to the next concept, which is at the bottom of page 97. Okay. Okay, so looking at page 97, near the bottom of the page, it's going to be this little box right here. Okay, and so it's basically going over the frequency in which something occurs in a specific period. So there's different contexts to use this. So if you remember counting people, so hitori, futari, sannin, yonin, gonin, rokunin, etc., that's a way to count things or a frequency of something. Or if you, I don't remember, I think this was back in Japanese one, we remembered how to count or like list items or like a number of items, like when you're like ordering food. So it's like hitotsu, futatsu, mitsu, yotsu, etc., etc. So you're like, oh, hamburger, mitsu, onegai shimasu, something like that. So like, oh, please give me this number of hamburgers. It's kind of like the same concept. So we have one for week. So that's the first one, shu, and then we have for months, that's tsuki or uh, getsu, and then the third one is nen, so years, and the last one is ni, the number kai, uh, gurai. So you're basically counting different things. I'm trying to think how to explain this. Um, yeah, so you basically would add the number before what you're talking about. So for example, for the week, it's ichi shukan, because the kanji that's right after shu for week is has to do with time. And then the second one, the one for months, it says the first month, and then the one for year says first year, and then the one for kai is just a counter for like, oh, about how many of this like are there, kind of. I'll try to better explain that with the concept that Sensei has. Hopefully that helps a bit more because I know it's kind of confusing. So talking about how often you do something in a certain period of time. I know this is kind of weird. So this is all going together. This goes with this. Noun, gatsu. This all goes together. Wow, that's confusing. Okay, let's look at some examples and hopefully that helps a bit. So, ishukan. So, so for one, shu for a week, kan, because that has to do with time, ni, ikai, ikebana o narate imasu. So ikebana is like a type of flower arrangement. Narate imasu has to do with studying, I suppose. And then once a week. So once a week, you do it once, kind of. It's kind of weird. Okay, and this first one says ika getsu ni nikai gurai, so about like 2 times. Soru ni shocho shimasu. So Soru is Seoul, like the city in Korea. And then shucho shimasu is a business trip. So in like a 1 month span, you go about twice, if that makes sense. So in a 1 week span, you do it once. And the last one is ichinen ni ikai gaikoku ni ryoko ni ikimasu. So in the span of 1 year, you travel abroad or overseas. Yeah, basically. So ni indicates that noun is a duration that serves as a basis for measuring frequency or duration. So yeah, ni has to do with time and place. So you would use ni as the particle for these. Okay, and then going back to the textbook. Okay, and then if you go to page 98 at the very top, up here, if you can see that right there. Okay, it says verb te mimas. So the speaker tries something new to discover what it is that they like. So you're going to put the verb into te form and add mimas because, oh, it's like, oh, I want to try that. I want to like see that. So we're going to look at, let's see. We're going to look at the examples that Sensei has. Hopefully, there's some okay ones. So, viteimasu, so used when in effort to know about something, you will try to see something new. So, この本を読んで, sorry, because that's in te form, 読んで, so, which is 読みます, turned into 読んでいます, or 読んでみます. So, you're trying to read a book, this book, so you're going to try it. Okay, いつか日本に行ってみたいです。行ってみたいです. So, you want to try going to Japan someday. Okay, フランスのワインです。飲んでみてください. So, we're putting the me in te form, I think. みてください. So, you're putting 飲みます into 飲んで, and then you're putting the 見ます into te form as well. So, 見てください. So, please try French wine. So, you can put the me in mas form, you can put it in tai form, you can put it in te form. If you like add kudasai at the end of it, just depends on how you want to conjugate it. Okay, and then this last one, we're going to be looking at page 99, at the very top. You can see that. Okay, it's verb mashoka. So it's offering help or assistance to a person that's in trouble. It's like, oh, so mashoka is like, shall we? That's probably the best like translation of that. So it's used when offering someone help who is in trouble. Example is 大変ですね. 手伝いましょうか? So that's kind of rough or like oh no. Shall I help you? And someone says, oh, すいません, ありがとうございます. It's like, oh, I'm sorry. Thank you very much. And then someone says, 一緒に駅に行きましょうか? So together to the station, shall we go? So shall we go to the shall I go to the station with you? Someone says, いいですか? ありがとうございます. So someone's like, oh, is that okay? Is that all right? Thank you very much. So the verb can be made by taking out mas and putting it into that form, into this form. So ikimasu turns into iki, which you would put into ikimashou. Okay, and I will double check really quick to see if the Katsudo textbook has anything that we need to go over really quick. Okay, so I'm looking at the Katsudo textbook on page 83. You can see this. 83. At the bottom of the page, starting with the bullet points, there's a few vocab words that I don't think I saw in the Rikai textbook. So the first bullet point says, Kippu o kau no o tasutai mashou ka? So kippu means ticket, and then kau no is so kau is to buy, so kaimasu. It's the dictionary form of that. And tasudai mashou ka is like helping someone. Okay, and then the last bullet point, it says chotto chizu o mimasu. So you would put the mimasu into the mashou form. So it would be mi mashou ka. So chizu, not like cheese, chizu mean when it's in hiragana, it means map. I'm pretty sure that was the only thing in chapter 10 in the textbook that we needed to go over. So let's go over the grammar notes really quick and we should be done with lesson 10. Yay. All right. So Yearly grammar lessons. So the first one, it says, Donna kuni, kuni means country, ni kyomi, so that's your interest, ga arimasu ka? So you would reply, oh, my interest ni kyomi ga arimasu. So this is my interest. Okay, and then the second one says, Donna kotoba ni kyomi ga arimasu ka? Trying to remember what kotoba means. Let me try and look that up really quick. Okay, Google says kotoba means words. I don't know if that's accurate, but whatever. You would just say, oh, my kyomi means interest. Blank, your interest ni kyomi ga arimasu. And then this one says, donna bunka ni kyomi ga arimasu. So bunka is culture, so it's like, oh, this culture is the one that I'm interested in. Okay, and then tai form of a verb, I want to blank. So the stem of the word plus tai des. Or if you don't want to do something, you would say stem of the verb plus takunai desu. So nari tai desu equals narimasu plus tai desu. So I want to be something. Yes, okay. And then for nouns, it's noun ni naritai desu. So you want to be noun. So isha ni naritai desu. So you want to be a doctor. Sensei ni naritai desu. You want to be a teacher. If you want to say you don't want to be either of those, you would say isha ni naritaku nai desu. Or sensei ni naritaku nai desu. For adjectives, for e-adjectives specifically, it's going to be e-adjective plus naritai desu. So oki plus naritai desu is okiku naritai desu. Okay, and then chisai plus naritai desu is chisaku naritai desu. Okay, and then now adjectives plus naritai desu is genki plus naritai desu is genki ni naritai desu. Oh, just going back to this, these are negative because it's kunaritai. If you were to make it positive, you would add the particle ni where this ku is, so it would make it positive. Okay, and then going back to the non-adjectives, the second one down says kirei plus naritai desu, which is kirei ni naritai desu. Third one says yumei plus naritai desu, so that becomes yumei ni naritai desu. So, are you well? The word, the verb for become. Are you like? Do you want to be well? Kirei means pretty. So do you want to become pretty? Yume, which is famous. Do you want to become famous? Okay. And this one, next one has to do with the counters once again. So ichinichi is like once a day. So you say once a day, ni however many times you do, or like in one day, how many times do you do this? So you could say ichinichi ni 3回です. So you did something 3 times in a day. Next one is 週に blank 回. So how many times a week do you do something? So 週に4回です. Or yeah, 4回です, whatever. So you did 4 times a week, whatever. 月に blank 回です. So how many times a month you did something? 月に1回です. You did something once a month. And then nen is year, so nen ni blank 回です. 2回です. So we're going to do nen ni 2回です. So 2 times a week, a year. Okay, and then the last ones are the stem of the word plus mashoka. So it's offering some action. So typically this is going to be used for your verbs. So the example is isho ni ikimasu turns into isho ni ikemashou ka. So shall we go turns in, or let's isho ni ikimasu. So let's go together, and then isho ni ikimashou ka is like, oh, shall we go together? The second one is skoshi yasumi, which means a small vacation or like a small rest. Turns into skoshi yasumi mashoka. So shall we take a short rest? Okay, and then this last one is putting a verb into te form, mimasu. So to do something, to see if it is good or not. So kono fuku o kimasu turns into kono fuku o kite mimasu. So shall we? So fuku is closed. So shall we go? Like try on clothes, kind of. And the last one is kono saru da o tabemasu. Sarada o tabemasu turns into kono sarada o tabete mimasu. So you're gonna eat a salad and see if it's good or not, basically. So I believe that is everything. I don't know if it's showing me full screen or not, but I hope it is. But this is the end of lesson 10. My Zoom is kind of going out on me fairly quickly, but if you have any questions, please let me know or Imo Sensei or Andrea-san, and we will help you. Okay, bye.